Now here's your local news.
Thanks, Grace. I'm Brianna Stubler with your headlines. Jefferson City residents who just reached the legal age to buy cigarettes now have to wait a few more years. The City Council voted to increase the minimum age for buying tobacco products from 18 to 21. Cigarettes and other tobacco alternatives like e-cigarettes are affected by this measure. The vote passed by a 6-4 margin. The city will fine businesses who break that law. Jefferson City is the 11th city in the state to increase the minimum age. Columbia was the first in 2014. Today, residents can go to a presentation of the Boone County Jail Population Study. A retired 13th Circuit Court judge will present the study's findings to the Boone County Judicial and Law Enforcement Task Force. The discussion is at 4:30 in the Boone County Government Center Commission Chambers. The study is in response to the increased cost of housing prisoners. New details overnight on human remains found this weekend in North St. Louis County. The remains are bones belonging to an infant. Fishermen found the remains Saturday night near a subdivision lake. Investigators have not yet determined the age or gender of the victim. It's still unclear how the child might have gotten the lake or how long the bones have been there. Thanks for watching. Today's show is next, but first, a live look out over Rocheport. Good morning, I'm Brianna Stubler. A nationwide manhunt for a suspect who posted a video on Facebook of him killing someone has come to an end. Officials say Steve Stevens died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. He was spotted at a McDonald's, then engaged in a brief police pursuit in Erie, Pennsylvania. Stevens was wanted on an aggravated murder charge in the shooting death of 74-year-old Robert Godwin Sr. in Cleveland, Ohio on Sunday. Some Chipotle customers are about to pay more for their order if they haven't already. The Mexican chain bumped its prices last week by about 5% and a fifth of its national restaurants. It's the company's first comprehensive price hike in 3 years, affecting about 440 of its approximately 2,200 locations. A spokesperson said this increase was predicted and reflects inflation. Their SEC 10K form also notes that they use more expensive ingredients, which they're calling food with integrity. Chipotle has been trying to revive sales after several foodborne disease outbreaks that began in 2015. There are 36 Chipotle locations throughout the state of Missouri, which may be affected soon. Thanks for watching. The Today Show will be right back. But first, a live look out over Rocheport. Good morning, I'm Brianna Stubler. Today, newly sworn-in Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch will hear oral arguments about a Columbia-based case. The case involves Trinity Lutheran Church, which runs a preschool. A Missouri grant program offers money to nonprofits to update playground surfaces. The church applied for the grant and was denied because of its religious ties. Yesterday, the case hit a road bump. Missouri's entire Attorney General's office recused itself from the case. With this statement, it said, last Thursday, Governor Greitens issued a directive prohibiting state agencies from denying public grants to religious groups on account of their religious nature. Because the Attorney General's office will be called upon to defend this new policy, the office has recused itself from any further participation in this case. Thanks for waking up with us. We'll have more on this and other stories at noon. Right now, it is 10:28 on your Wednesday morning, and you are about to see a live look out over Rocheport. Only on KOMU8 News Today. Good morning, I'm Brianna Stubler. The Unified Development Ordinance and recent downzoning has led to an increase in renovations around Columbia. Since the ordinance passed, some Columbia neighborhoods have decided to, quote, downzone. The city approved the downzoning of 34 apartments into single-family houses or duplexes in the Benton-Stevens area. This decreases the monetary value of old properties, but renovating those homes increases the value, giving an advantage to those who've downzoned. The Columbia Board of Realtors says downzoning wasn't always beneficial, so the new ordinance is a better fit. In St. Louis yesterday. It started with an officer who tried to pull over 3 teens in an SUV for a traffic violation. Police then realized the car was stolen and the chase ensued. It ended when the suspect's car crashed into another car. All 7 people involved were taken to the hospital. A Kansas City school district announced a new policy for immigration officials in its schools. The policy says officials must come to the superintendent's office before entering a school building. The resolution is in response to an incident recently in February that was misconstrued and caused concern. Immigration officials say this is a non-issue since they do not conduct law enforcement in schools. Thanks for watching. The Today Show is back, but first let's take a live look out over Lake of the Ozarks. It is 7:58. Thanks, Grace. I'm Brianna Stubler. There's a new way to get around Jefferson City. Uber now runs in the state's capital between Uber and Lyft, and 8 Missouri cities have ride-sharing companies. On Monday, Governor Greitens signed regulations on these companies into law. Ride-sharing services will now need a business license from the Missouri Department of Revenue. Drivers will also need a department license by late August. Jefferson City Mayor Carrie Turgeon said in a statement, "I'm thrilled that our state legislators were able to pass a comprehensive statewide ride-sharing regulation that allows us to welcome Uber to Jefferson City, and I look forward to seeing how ride-sharing can extend transportation options for local residents." Expanding its locations and services isn't all Uber's been doing. The company's also looking into future innovations. Uber's flying cars could land by 2020. It first announced its interest in flying vehicles last October. Now, it expects to deploy a network of flying taxis in Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas. Uber hopes to conduct passenger flights as part of World Expo 2020 in Dubai. If successful, the cars could be used nationwide. Prices of homes in the U.S. rose at their fastest pace in nearly 3 years in February. This in part is due to more home buyers chasing down fewer available properties, forcing many would-be buyers into bidding wars. The Standard & Poor's CoreLogic Case-Shiller National Home Price Index increased by nearly 6% in February, the biggest increase in 32 months. Missouri is following a similar trend. Last quarter's index was 4.6% higher than prices at the same time last year. Thanks for watching. The Today Show is next, but first, let's take a live look out over Lake of the Ozarks. It is 8:28 on your Wednesday morning. Good morning, I'm Brianna Stubler. An honorable guest is visiting Columbia this week. The second oldest Pearl Harbor survivor is sharing his personal experience. 103-year-old Lieutenant Jim Downing says he felt a range of emotions on that infamous day. He joined the Navy after high school and was stationed on the battleship USS West Virginia. He says his faith in God is what got him through the deadly attack. Downing will talk about the Pearl Harbor attack tonight at Centralia High School. In Missouri, you can't discriminate against others because of their race, religion, or sex. Several Missouri lawmakers want to make discrimination of sexual orientation against the law as well. The Discrimination Act was discussed at a committee hearing in the Capitol. Missouri House of Representatives Greg Razor says he's optimistic for the future, but also disappointed by a last effort to pass statewide LGBTQ protections, which might involve adding them to a separate bill addressing employment discrimination law. The bill would raise the burden of proof for people wishing to sue employers for discrimination. And across the state, some Missouri students are continuing MAP testing this morning, but this year's test is a little different. The concept and the tests are selected by the Missouri State Board of Education. The State Education Department says the changes are good for elementary and middle school students, more so than for older test takers.
When you have a test that changes every year, that makes it a challenge. So when you have a same test for multiple years, you're actually able to compare performance year after year. And teachers are able to dig down deeper in the data and see, okay, Johnny really needs to work on multiplication, so next year we'll make sure and get that skill down for him.